Okay, next up we have Azure Minerals Limited, Tony Rivera, Managing Director. Tony's a geologist with over 30 years experience and has been the MD of Azure for 17 years. And in 2000 won the AMEC Prospector of the Year award for his role in the discovery of the Cosmos nickel sulfide deposits. I'm reliably informed that when he's not recovering from knee surgery, that Tony is a keen fisherman. But he's actually not that good at it, apparently, despite all his efforts. So, but please welcome Tony to the stage anyway.
Now, Paul, I might have to pick you up on that a little bit. I think your informant is incorrect. I'll speak to my son Alex about that later and challenge him to a fish-off. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for the opportunity to talk to you about the Azure Minerals story. This is the first time that the company has been here in many, many, many years and being able to present at Diggers. For the last 15 years or so, we were exploring in Mexico. We exited Mexico about 12 months ago. And in that period since then, we've acquired a nickel project, several really good gold projects. We've built a team. We've raised $37 million on the back of the nickel discoveries, and the company is just going from strength to strength at the moment. Most of this presentation is about the Andover nickel project. And this is one that we acquired from Mark Creasy and his group. Mark Creasy has owned the Andover project for quite a few years. He'd carried out a small amount of exploration over that time, had a few sniffs and found a bit of smoke and of interesting, encouraging nickel results. We closed the deal with him just around 12 months ago, and the intention is that Azure and Mark Creasy and his group will be continuing to progress this project through the exploration, resource definition, development and feasibility study activities, taking it through to the mining stage. So Andover is located in Western Australia. When we left Mexico, we made a conscious decision to pivot back into this part of the world. It's obviously a lot easier to operate here than it is remotely overseas, and the focus is very much to stay in Western Australia going forward. So Andover is located in the Pilbara region. It's located just about half an hour's drive to the east of Karratha. Very easy to get to, great access, highways, sealed roads. Lots of infrastructure there where we've got power, water, communications and all the services that you would require for any exploration and or mining operation. The tenement outline that you can see there in blue covers about 70% of the Andover intrusive mafic, ultramafic complex, and that's where our focus is. And being a layered mafic ultramafic intrusion, it has a great deal of similarities to other very famous ones now here in Western Australia, like the Fraser Range and Julimar and similar other ones that I haven't named here. And it's only in the last couple of years that we've really recognised that the opportunity for a lot of these complexes to be able to host significant nickel, copper and PGE sulfide mineralisation. On the Andover project, which is around about 70 square kilometres, we've got 10 well-defined and what we'd classify as high-priority electromagnetic targets. So these targets have been identified both through airborne VTEM surveys and also follow-up surface fixed-loop surveys, where we've been able to not only identify but define these conductors. And we've drilled two of them to date, VC7 and VC23, and we've found significant nickel and copper sulfide mineralisation at both of those conductors. The interesting thing about the conductors in this part of the world is that to date, wherever we've drilled an EM conductor, we have hit nickel and copper sulfide mineralisation. There have been no false positives. Unlike, for example, in the Fraser Range, where you have a number of problems that create false positives, here at Andover, there's no soil cover. There's no salt water, there's no black shales or graphite, there's no sulfidic sediments. And to date, what we're seeing is that if you drill a conductor, you hit nickel. And so therefore, EM surveying, both airborne, surface and downhole surveying, is our prime and most important driver for our exploration. This is an image of the Aeromagnetic Survey that we carried out a couple of months ago. The project is outlined in white there. This multicoloured feature, that is the layered complex of you have ultramafics and mafic rocks generating different magnetic signatures. And within that, we've got the two areas that we've drilled to date, which have been nominated as VC7 and VC23. where we've got really significant nickel and copper sulphide mineralisation there. But in addition to that, there are many other targets that have yet to be drilled, and I've just outlined half a dozen there or so where we've identified and VTEM anomalies. We've carried out fixed loop EM surveys. We've defined those targets. We're now just waiting for heritage approvals to go on and drill them. Now, I'm not standing up here and saying that every single EM conductor on this project is going to be a nickel sulphide body, but so far those that we have tested have proven to be the case, and so it's a 100% success rate to date. So Andover is a very fertile system. Being an intrusive complex, it carries all of the right components to host nickel and copper sulphides. And we've to date drilled, and it says 62, in fact we've drilled over 70 holes there now, and almost all of them have hit nickel and copper sulphide mineralisation because we are targeting those EM conductors. And with numerous targets yet to test, there's a significant potential to really grow this. The photograph there just shows some of the sulphide mineralisation that we're hitting. So you can see at the bottom end of the photograph, it's more of a massive style of pyrrhotite, pentlandite and chalcopyrite mineralisation, grading into semi-massive to heavily disseminated styles of sulphide mineralisation there. So how did we get to this point in time? Well, about 12 months ago exactly, I closed a deal with Mark Creasy to be able to acquire these projects, the Andover Nickel Project and 3 gold projects. And in the 12 months since then, we've not only closed the deal and acquired the projects, we've built a team of really highly qualified nickel and gold explorers. We've been able to raise money. We raised $37 million in November. We carried out geophysical surveying, we've carried out drilling, we've made the discoveries, and now we're in the phase of resource drill out, which is likely to continue for at least the next 6 months and probably well into 2022 as well. So there's a lot of things happening, and the company's been very busy and along that time very successful as well. So let's just have a quick chat about the VC7 target, the conductor that we initially identified through the EM surveying. This EM conductor is a bit over 1 kilometre long in an east-west direction, and within that it represents a fissure or a very strong structure into which has been intruded numerous subvertically dipping, plunging chutes of sulphide-rich mineralisation. The initial one that we started drilling is on the eastern side, VC7 East. That's the one that's the orange and yellow image that you can see there. That mineralisation, that chute, is about 300 metres from east-west. It extends from surface down to at least 500 metres below surface. It remains open in down dip, and we're also finding there's a lot more mineralisation closer to surface as well. So the potential here is very significant for a substantial nickel and copper ore body in that particular one, VC7 East. We then stepped out a bit further to the west, where we had additional EM targets, and we went down, drilled some holes, and we've had some more good success out there. There's a couple of holes, or one hole in particular that we announced yesterday, 4.5 metres at just under 4% nickel and nearly 1% copper, and another zone of 7 metres at 1.4% nickel as well. So we are hitting nickel in that second zone as well, and there are potential targets further to the west as well for more repetitions of these steeply plunging chutes. So the question we're asking ourselves is, do all the EM conductors that we're seeing on the Andover project represent nickel and copper sulphide mineralisation? This is a VTEM survey that was recently flown, and we only completed it about a couple of weeks ago. The image there shows where the first white star is, VC23. That's where we're currently drilling and doing the resource drill out. VC23, did I say 23? First one was VC7, the second one VC23, and that's where we've also carried out 8 drill holes and hit nickel and copper sulphide mineralisation in all 8 of those. Elsewhere on there, and you can see circled in white, are the other targets we've identified. They are small in stature, they are large in stature, they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. That very large one there, it's about 3 kilometres long in a sort of a northwest to southeast direction, was nominated as VC18. It's sort of in coincidence with a north-south water pipeline and an east-west power line. And so in previous times, previous explorers in the area had dismissed it. as a coincidence, a false positive, if you like, as a result of the power line. Well, the EM surveys that we've carried out there, both the VTEM modelling and also the modelling of the fixed loop surface surveying, has confirmed that that conductor body, whatever it might be caused by, starts at about 250 to 300 metres below surface, and it's never been drilled. So if it's a nickel body, it's going to be one of the biggest ever found in the world, but that would be nice. However, the opportunity is there for us to drill it later this year once we get our heritage approvals. So all of those targets will be tested as part of our regional exploration program. We've just talked through that. So where to from here for the company? Well, we're in the middle of the 40,000 metre diamond drilling program on the VC7 target. The intention is to drill out that to a resource status. We've got 3 rigs operating. The focus at the moment is on the eastern side so that we can progress that, particularly the near to surface mineralisation, and bring it closer to surface. But we will also be swinging rigs out to test more on the VC7 west as well. Initially, we've been saying that the intention was to have the first resource for this VC7 prospect to be ready for publication by the end of this year. But because of the drilling that we've been doing at VC7 East, it continues to find more mineralisation and has yet to find the edges of that body that we're drilling. It's most likely that we will keep drilling and that the resource will be more likely to be published sometime in the first quarter of next year. But this is still very much a movable feast, and that body is growing. A lot of drilling still to be done on the exploration side. In this particular area, we have it's a very culturally significant area for the local Aboriginal community there. And we are cooperating, we're just in discussions and having building a strong relationship there to allow us to continue our exploration in areas which are important to them. And so far, things have gone very well down that front. We've also commenced development studies. So we have metallurgical test work is underway, and the first part of that program is almost complete. We're waiting just on the final report, so there should be information to be coming out about the metallurgy of VC7 East very shortly. Geotechnical and mining studies are underway, and all of the community, heritage and environment side of things is underway, and very busy in that front as well. And we're also looking at some of the other components of that scoping study. So that's the nickel project at VC7, at Andover, in particular on the VC7 prospect. But we also picked up some gold projects. We acquired the Barton project, 100% ownership of the Barton project. We bought that from a prospector. It's 200 square kilometres of land located in the Kukaini district. We also acquired the Turner River project, which is a joint venture with the Creasy Group, so it's 70% Azure, 30% Creasy. And those are the 2 gold focuses for us going forward. Turner River is located up in the Pilbara region, just south of Port Hedland, and Barton is located just south of Leonora in the Kukaini Gold District. And Barton comprises 200 square kilometres of virtually unexplored land in an area where there's a large amount of exploration undergoing at the moment. So you have Genesis Minerals very busy to our east and our south, and they've got over 1.6 million ounces of resources, and Saturn Metals just off to our east, and they're sitting there with just under 1 million ounces. And so what we're saying, those 3 areas are surrounding us, and we've got 200 square kilometres, hardly ever been drilled. So we zoom in a little bit. Shown there in blue is the Barton project. The only drilling that reached bedrock on the Barton project is located in the southwest corner. It's called Daisy Corner. And there was some very interesting and encouraging gold results that were returned back in the mid-1990s, so a long time ago. But what happens is Daisy Corner actually adjoins our southern boundary. Just to the south of us is the new Puzzle North discovery by Genesis, which is looking really exciting. They're drilling up right close to our boundary. It's not rocket science, it's that when we get on the ground with our drill rig, we'll be drilling further to the north along the extensions that Genesis already identified. And there's significant amount of structural targets that remain completely untested. The final mention here is just of the Turner River Gold Project. This is one that Creasy's held for a long, long time as applications. They are in the final stage before grant. Hopefully in the next couple of months they will be granted. 450 square kilometres of land just south of Port Hedland and just to the north of De Grey Mining's Malina Gold Project, which includes their 6.8 million ounce Hemi gold discovery, which we're probably going to be hearing about very shortly from Glenn. But what we're finding there is with Hemi sitting there on one of the major shear zones, that major shear zone does extend to the northeast. It goes through our ground in an area that's never been drilled. The geology that has been identified and the geological controls and structural controls that have been identified on the De Grey ground appear to also be in existence on our ground as well. So they're just, once that's granted, we'll be out there on the ground drilling. And I'd just like to say, just coming up, following me, Glenn Jardine for De Grey is a former colleague of mine and a great friend, and he's on a really good wicket with De Grey, so well done, Glenn. So just summing up for where we are at the moment, we're well funded. We've got over $30 million in the bank at the moment. We've got three rigs drilling on Andover, full steam ahead on that. The focus is on the nickel at the moment, and obviously nickel and copper are two of the main focuses for a lot of companies now in this new world that we're in, and we're very pleased to be able to have such a great project to be able to work on. We've also got a couple of good gold projects, and we've got a lot of activity happening going ahead, so the next 12 months will probably be just as exciting as the last 12. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. We're trying to try and make up some time here. So